The Illinois Institute for Rehabilitation and Employment Research, IIRER, focuses on the intersection of health, community, and vocation. Our mission is to improve the well-being of individuals with disabilities and chronic health conditions by advancing their career development and community involvement. This webinar series is designed to assist community rehabilitation providers in their transition away from 14C sub-minimum wage work as required by the Dignity in Pay Act. Hi, today's webinar is part one of a two-part series centered on organizational change for community rehabilitation providers moving from a facility-based 14C sub-minimum wage employment model to a community-based model. Today's content is designed for executive staff and will focus on aspects of strategic planning. In part two of this series, we will discuss operational planning. Okay, for this webinar, we encourage participants to jot down your thoughts related to topics presented today. We have created a Dignity in Pay webinar notebook for your use. You may find a link to the notebook on the Dignity in Pay website. During this webinar, you can push pause at any time by clicking the pause button to temporarily stop the video, and then click pause again or the play button to resume playing the webinar. Our agenda today will cover key concepts to organizational change, specifically related to strategic planning. We will highlight the importance and impacts of strategic planning along with a step-by-step guide to get you started. As always, we will discuss the importance of using data to drive your decision-making, and we'll finally offer some practical tools and strategies to help you along the way. So let's get started and discuss some key concepts to organizational change. Organizational change is the process of transforming your business's structure, processes, and culture, guiding your organization away from awareness to the adoption of new service delivery models. There are two types of change 14C providers need to prepare for as they evolve: adaptive and transformational changes. Adaptive changes are gradual changes that an organization undertakes to evolve its products, processes, workflows, and strategies over time. It's doing the same work better. Transformational changes are larger in scale and scope and often include major changes such as introducing or eliminating services you offer. Transformational change allows you to become a different kind of organization. So two other concepts related to organizational change, typically broken down into strategic planning and operational planning. Strategic planning is long-term, 3 to 5 years plan that outlines an organization's mission, vision, and high-level goals. Strategic plans are typically developed by top-level management, including board members, and focus on the direction of the organization. Conversely, operational planning is short-term planning, usually 12 to 36 months out, focusing on specific actions and tasks required to achieve the objectives set out in the strategic plan. Operational plans focus on day-to-day operations and are typically developed and implemented by middle management. So press pause and take a moment to write down your thoughts to this question. How does your organization approach strategic planning? Who is involved? How often do you revisit your plan? As you transition from facility-based to community-based programs, do you intend to revisit your mission, vision, or goals? To resume the webinar, click pause again or the play button. Now that you've taken a moment to think about your agency's approach to strategic planning, let's discuss some related impacts and challenges. Strategic planning can lead to many positive outcomes for any organization. Developing An effective strategy aligned with your mission, resources, and goals can provide clear direction and focus for your board, your leadership, and importantly, your staff and the individuals you serve. Strategic planning can improve your daily operations and workflows while building trust, inclusion, and accountability with all your stakeholders. Organizational change often presents challenges that can affect staff, operations, and morale. Some common challenges include gaining staff and stakeholder buy-in, limited resources, and disruptions that may lead to low morale and burnout among staff. By identifying some of these common barriers and planning practical solutions, organizations can reduce disruption and support staff through the transition. Communication is key when attempting to gain buy-in from your staff, stakeholders, and the individuals you serve. It will be important to explain clearly what is changing, when to expect the change, and who will be involved, why the change is needed, and how the change will be implemented. Change, big or small, can be difficult for everyone, so providing meaningful opportunities for stakeholders to participate in the change and to provide feedback can increase buy-in. When the change goes well, celebrate those small wins and publicly share your success stories. Celebrating successes is how you turn strategy into culture. When you share success stories broadly, you reinforce what effective transformation looks like. Recognizing those small wins builds momentum and encourages continuous improvement. Hosting appreciation events strengthens morale and retention while highlighting employer and community partner successes, deepens relationships, and reinforces your shared commitment to community-based employment. Celebration is not just recognition. It's a leadership tool that sustains change. For more ideas on celebrating small wins, check out our additional resources on the Dignity and Pay website. As you think about sustaining resources during transformation, you have to be intentional and strategic. The first step is prioritizing the changes that will have the biggest impact on funding. Not every change has the same financial return, so focusing first on actions that increase billable services, improve employment outcomes, or reduce costly overhead. That helps stabilize revenue early in the process. Second, phase changes over time. Trying to do everything at once can strain staff and budgets. A step-by-step approach allows you to manage risk, monitor progress, and adjust before expanding your efforts. Finally, actively look for additional funding and shared resources. This might include grants, braided funding, partnerships with other agencies, or shared staffing models. Sustaining change is not just about cutting costs. It's about aligning your resources with your mission and building long-term financial strength. Identifying shared resources is about increasing efficiency while strengthening impact. Internally, you can share staff expertise, cross-train teams, and align administrative systems to reduce duplication. Externally, partnerships with vocational rehabilitation, or VR, workforce boards, and community colleges allow you to share training, employer outreach, and infrastructure. From a funding perspective, creating customer crosswalks helps you align individuals with the right funding streams. Braiding Medicaid, vocational rehabilitation, and other resources strategically. This approach reduces gaps, maximizes reimbursement, and builds long-term financial sustainability. For more ideas on maximizing your funding, check out our webinar recording related to funding your change on the Dignity and Pay website. As you move through change, stability is just as important as progress. One way to create stability is by using pilot programs to test changes before rolling them out organization-wide. This allows you to learn, adjust, and reduce risk. Pace the work thoughtfully. Adjusting timelines helps prevent staff burnout and ensures changes are sustainable. Offering flexible scheduling and cross-training builds resilience within the team, so coverage and support remain strong. And finally, invest in coaching, peer support, and wellness resources to make sure staff feels supported, not overwhelmed through the transition. Cross-training is a key strategy for building resilience during transformation. By training staff to support multiple roles, such as job coaching, employer engagement, and case coordination, you increase flexibility and reduce service disruptions. Cross-training also deepens skills, improves service quality, and supports career growth, which strengthens retention. Ultimately, it allows you to operate more efficiently while maintaining consistent, high-quality support for the individuals you serve. What have been your biggest challenges related to organizational change? Of the practical solutions we provided, what do you think you could do to address your challenges? How will you begin your work? Who will you enlist to help you? Press pause to write down your thoughts in your notebook, and to resume the webinar, click pause again or press the play button. Next, we will walk you through 6 steps to creating sound strategic plans that are clearly communicated to stakeholders. Step 1 is engaging stakeholders. Successful transformation depends on meaningful stakeholder engagement. You can begin by identifying champions among your staff and families. Champions are individuals who understand the vision and can help build trust and momentum across the organization. You can also hold structured listening sessions by gathering concerns, ideas, and practical feedback. Offering multiple ways to participate, such as surveys or small group meetings and one-on-one conversations, helps ensure broader input. Most importantly, you close the loop by showing how stakeholders' feedback directly shaped your decisions. This builds transparency and credibility. So why does this matter? It matters because meaningful stakeholder engagement helps people feel that the organizational change is happening with them, not to them. So how to develop feedback loops? Feedback loops are what keeps strategy grounded in reality. By regularly reviewing financial, workforce, and outcome data, you can identify trends early and make informed adjustments. Structured staff and stakeholder feedback ensures you hear directly from those closest to the work. Most importantly, closing the loop by communicating what you changed and why builds trust, accountability, and a culture of continuous improvement. Step 2 is updating or developing a strategic plan. So whether you're revising your strategic plan or developing a new one, it is critical that your strategic plan reflects where you are going, not where you have been. The first step is revisiting your mission and vision statement to ensure they align with a community-based model, emphasizing opportunities for meaningful integration and competitive integrated employment. Your mission should clearly communicate your purpose and your long-term direction. Keep the plan simple and focused. A strategic plan should guide decision-making, not sit on a shelf. Establishing SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, helps you track progress and hold yourself accountable. Finally, you must assess your resources. That includes funding, staffing, partnerships, and infrastructure. A strong strategic plan connects your goals to the resources needed to achieve them and ensures sustainability over time. For more ideas on updating your mission, check out our resource on the Dignity and Pay website. A strategic plan demands a complementary communication strategy. Clear and consistent communication is the basis of any successful change. Different groups of people need information shared in different ways, so communication should be planned with each audience in mind. A logical communication strategy explains what information will be shared, who will receive it, and when and how it will be delivered. Communication should be honest, easy to understand, collaborative, and shared with empathy. An effective communication plan starts by clearly defining the purpose and the audience. For example, if you're shifting to a community-based model, staff may need details about role changes, while families may need reassurance about service quality. Next, develop a consistent message, such as explaining why the change aligns with community-based services and what it means for daily operations. Then, choose the right channel, like staff town halls, or weekly email updates and family newsletters. Finally, build in feedback through listening sessions and surveys, and communicate how that input shaped your decision, so stakeholders see that their voice is reflected in your action. Step 4 is fostering leadership and cultural change. Leadership and culture change requires 4 key actions. First, leaders must model and reinforce the new vision so staff see that employment-first values guide real decisions. Secondly, systems and accountability measures must align with your outcomes, not old program models. Third, leadership capacity must be built at every level, not just at the top. And finally, lasting change depends on trust, engagement, and strong support systems that help staff move forward with confidence. When vision, systems, accountability, and staff engagement all align, transformation becomes sustainable, not temporary, and leads to better outcomes for individuals, stronger staff retention, and long-term organizational success. Step 5 is a phased implementation. A phased implementation approach reduces risk and increases the likelihood of success. Begin by starting small, using pilot sites or teams to test new workflows before scaling across the organization. This allows you to gather real-time data on staffing, financial impact, and participant outcomes. As each phase unfolds, use that data to adjust processes, refine roles, and strengthen systems before expanding. It is important to celebrate and communicate early wins to build momentum and confidence. Finally, establish structured reviews to capture lessons learned so each phase improves the next and strengthens long-term sustainability. Creating a pilot allows you to test change on a smaller scale before full implementation. Begin by clearly defining the purpose, selecting a strong team or site, and establishing measurable outcomes. Throughout the pilot, provide support and collect real-time data to understand both impact and challenges. After evaluation, refine processes based on what you learned before expanding. This approach reduces risk, strengthens decision-making, and builds confidence across the organization. A continuous improvement cycle evaluates by looking at the data, review outcomes, and listening to staff and stakeholder feedback to understand what is working and what is not. Next, you'll want to mitigate risk, identifying challenges and putting supports in place to reduce disruption, protecting staff capacity, and maintaining service quality. Monitor your progress closely, using clear metrics and regular check-ins to ensure you stay on track. As progress is made, celebrate wins, both large and small, to reinforce momentum and recognize the hard work of your teams. Finally, adjust based on what you have learned. Refine your approach and strengthen systems before moving forward again. This cycle ensures that change is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of learning, improvement, and sustainability. Press pause to write down your thoughts to this question. Where do you see the greatest risk to sustainability? What systems or behaviors must change first for your community-based vision to succeed? How should your strategic plan address it? What can you do? How will you begin? Who will help? When you're finished writing your answer, you can resume the webinar by clicking pause again or the play button. Data-driven decisions. Strong strategic planning is driven by 4 key data points. First, financial performance tells whether you are sustainable and able to reinvest in growth. Second, workforce stability shows whether you have the people and skills to carry out your strategy. Third, service outcomes, like employment rates and retention. Prove whether your model is producing meaningful results. And finally, external market and policy trends help you plan for the future instead of reacting to it. The most effective organizations combine simple tools with consistent review cycles. Quarterly strategic reviews ensure data informs real decisions, not just reports. Strategic planning succeeds when data, structure, engagement, and accountability work together. Dashboards give us a clear view of financial health, workforce stability, and service outcomes. When you review this data regularly, you can make informed decisions and stay aligned with your mission and sustainability goals. A SWOT analysis, environmental scans, and quarterly reviews keep your strategy focused and realistic. These tools help you anticipate risk, seize opportunities, and ensure the plan stays active. Listening sessions, surveys, and transparent communication build trust and strengthen alignment. Engaging stakeholders ensures strategy reflects real needs and shared priorities. Phased implementation and regular evaluation reduce risk and support steady progress. Using data to adjust keeps your strategy responsive and sustainable. Press pause and write your thoughts to the following question. If you fast forward 3 years, what outcomes would prove your transformation was successful? After you write your answer, you can press pause again to resume the webinar. Executive staff set the direction for the organization. They define the vision, prioritize goals, and allocate the resources needed to move the strategy forward. It's also their responsibility to clearly communicate why change is happening and remove barriers that may slow progress. Finally, executives monitor outcomes and adjust strategy as needed to ensure long-term sustainability. Middle managers are the bridge between strategy and daily operations. They turn high-level goals into actionable plans and guide staff through the change. By coaching teams, monitoring performance, and addressing challenges early, they ensure the strategy is implemented consistently and effectively. Field staff bring the strategy to life through their daily work. They deliver services aligned with organizational goals while supporting individuals through the change. Their feedback is critical to understanding what is working, and accurate data tracking ensures we can measure impact and improve over time. Advisory boards offer an external perspective that strengthens strategy and accountability. They provide guidance, review progress, and advocate for partnerships and resources. By ensuring alignment with the mission and long-term goals, they help sustain transformation beyond day-to-day operations. Press pause and write down your thoughts to this question. Take a moment to reflect on how you are supporting strategic planning. Think about the transition ahead. Consider what staff and stakeholders need most right now. Whether that's clearer communication, additional training, emotional support, or resource alignment. What is one action you could take this quarter to strengthen support and reduce barriers? Focus on practical steps that will build confidence and sustain momentum. To resume the video, press pause again or press play. Executives play a critical role in advancing strategic planning, both on-site and off-site. Internally, leadership models the vision, engages staff, reviews performance data, and ensures operations align with strategic goals. Externally, executives build partnerships, advocate for funding and policy alignment, and monitor market trends. Together, this dual focus ensures strategy is both grounded in daily operations and positioned for long-term sustainability. Now we're going to apply the concepts that we've discussed to a real-world scenario. This case study reflects a common situation many organizations face during transformation. Progress is being made, but financial pressure, workforce strain, and service outcomes are not yet fully aligned. BrightPath Services is a mid-sized nonprofit transitioning from facility-based services model to a community-based employment-first model. Over the past year, the organization has reduced facility programming by 40%, but leadership has noticed several emerging challenges. As you review the scenario, I'd like you to think like the executive team. What data matters the most? Where is the greatest risk? And what actions would you prioritize in the next 90 days? The goal isn't a perfect answer. It's to practice strategic, data-driven decision-making in a complex environment. The data snapshot shows that the cost per participant has decreased by 8%, but billable time has not increased proportionally. Staff turnover has risen from 18 to 27% in the last year. 60% of placements are in competitive integrated employment, but 90-day retention is only 55%. Stakeholder surveys show staff uncertainty about new expectations. So revenue has become less predictable as funding shifts to individualized billing. Staff turnover has increased among frontline supervisors. Employment outcomes have improved slightly, but those retention at the 90 days remain low. Families expressed mixed feelings about the pace of the change. The board has approved the strategic direction, but executives must now strengthen implementation to ensure sustainability. So what is the top strategic priority for the next 12 months? Which data points should most influence your immediate decisions? Where should you pilot adjustments before expanding or organizational wide? What communication and culture strategies are needed to stabilize the workforce? The first step is to determine the most critical priority for the next 12 months. While several challenges exist, workforce stability is likely the foundation for success. Without staff capacity and clarity, improvements in funding or service design will not hold. Next, ground your decision in data. Turnover rates, 90-day retention outcomes, and billable time trends give you a clear picture of organizational health. These metrics connect financial stability, workforce capacity, and service quality. Rather than implementing broad changes immediately, start small. Piloting enhanced supervision or retention supports in one team allows us to test impact and reduce risk. Data from the pilot guides expansion. Change must be supported by transparent communication, listening sessions, clear expectations, and visible leadership reinforce alignment. Celebrating early improvements builds trust and momentum. Finally, translate analysis into action. Stabilize staffing, strengthen retention, supports, and monitor progress through structured reviews. A focused 90-day plan ensures momentum while maintaining accountability. So as you step back from the case study, what becomes clear is that strategic planning is not abstract. It's practical decision-making grounded in real data and real people. The scenario showed how financial health, workforce stability, service outcomes, and communication are deeply connected. Strong strategy requires prioritization, phased implementation, and continuous feedback. Ultimately, effective strategic planning equips leaders to respond to complexity with clarity, discipline, and confidence. Please take a moment to complete our survey. Your input helps us target future training and technical assistance products. This webinar was supported by funding from the Illinois Department of Human Services, Division of Developmental Disabilities. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of IDHS.